Okay, so let's swing back to the Marty Necas trade.
That's the Carolina
Because the
situation.
reason why this came up is because right now, Eric Tulsky theoretically would be making the decision on a Marty Necas trade. So,
which makes me think I don't want him.
Yeah, so we shall see. I think it's real that they are considering it. And the reason why I think it's real is that they've done this before.
Yes.
Like, if there's a guy in their organization who they like, but they think is asking for too much money, they will trade that person.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it.
About this.
They've done it multiple times. Like Elias Lindholm's an example. Like, they've done this before with guys who they just are like, yeah, you know what? We just don't think he's we like him, but we don't like him that much. They have a valuation on their guys, and they're not going to be willing to pay them more than that valuation just because he's homegrown or because they've had him for a bunch of years. Like, they will move guys and they will try to get assets back. So I think that's real. Now, whether it's real that the Flyers are one of the leaders, I'm sure they've checked in. I'm sure that they are in. If someone like him is available, who is intriguing because he's young, he's got high-end offensive tools, he's a good skater, he's got high-end puck skills. If he's available, the Flyers have to be checking in. I'm just not sure if it's like he's their top target, they're going to get him. I think that is a little bit of a creation of Flyers Twitter because people are bored and want to see the Flyers make
Do
moves
stuff
because it's fun. I'm sure they are poking around. I'm sure. The thing with Necas is basically that the question is whether you think he's a center or not. If he's just a winger, which is the position he's mostly played in Carolina, I would not be willing to give up the kind of assets it would take to get him.
Yeah.
If they think he's a center, particularly if they think he has 1C potential in another environment, then if that's what your scouts tell you and you trust them, then I'm open to the idea of a blockbuster trade. But you have to believe he's a center.
Yeah.
You can't just think he's a winger. If he's a winger, I'm eh. If you think he's a center and you think that Carolina was just using him wrong, then maybe.
It's a bit of a gamble, but like I feel like this is the time that the Flyers are in a position to make gambles on these kinds of things.
Fair. But it's not like they're going to be able to get him.
If it's a huge, price, it might.
Like Kotkaniemi is another Carolina guy who was theoretically available. It doesn't seem like they're going to buy him out now. That appeared to be the report I saw from Freeman last week. That's not necessarily in the cards at the moment. But he would have been more of a low cost option, where if he gets bought out and all it's going to take is 1 to 2 year commitment to see what you have in him. Maybe the cap hits somewhat high, but like probably not as high as the cap that he has now, given the fact that he just got bought out. That's an easier risk to take than trading, multiple good assets for a guy who may or may not be a center.
That's a good point.
And I think a lot of people are just kind of excited about the timeline he fits.
I think people are just excited because it's something.
It's a good player and it's someone whose name you probably know,
Yeah.
But he doesn't turn 26 till January. I think that does excite some. Like, he actually kind of might fit the timeline a little bit. He's an arbitration eligible RFA. I'm sure you want to get a long-term deal with him done, especially if you trade assets for him. But I've seen a lot of, well, would you rather that or 8 years for TK? Like,
it doesn't have to be an either or.
And it seems like people are posing it as an either or situation. And like, that's what I was like, why not both?
Yeah.
But is there some sort of connection?
Or why not neither?
Yeah, or neither.
That too, also an option.
Do you think there is any connection with TK other than, hey, man, if Necas is a winger, like, do we need another one if we're keeping TK?
I mean, I guess look, it's roster building, so it's all connected.
Yeah.
Could you envision a scenario where the Flyers trade for Necas and then a week later trade Konechny away to replenish some of the assets they trade away for Necas? Sure, I guess that's an option. I would be skeptical that like you could trade Konechny for Necas, because if Carolina is concerned about giving Necas an 8-year deal, I would suspect they have similar concerns about giving Konechny an 8-year deal, which is what I would think he's going to require.
2 or 3 years older,
Yeah. So I don't think that connection's there. But if you're looking at it as, well, we trade, a first-round pick and Joel Farabee and something else to get Marty Necas, and then we trade Travis Konechny for a first-round pick and something else to replenish, maybe that works. But again, to me, it's like I would only do that if I think Necas is a center. That's my personal opinion.
I kind of like that version of events because then if he's not a center, you've replaced Konechny. Like it's not like it's not a loss at that point. If you have both of them, then it's a problem. But if you do what you just suggested, which is trading Konechny for stuff that replaces the stuff, that would be kind of fun. Also, it's like a lot of Briere doing stuff, which I think people really want to see.
People just want the Flyers to do stuff, especially the people who are online, because doing stuff is fun. I mean, I know no one will admit it because of how poorly it worked out, but I would say the vast majority of Flyers Twitter, particularly the very much do stuff section, was very excited by the Chuck Fletcher doing stuff summer.
Oh, I love that summer.
When they traded for Ellis, when they got Ristolainen, when they swapped Voracek for Atkinson. It was like, they're doing stuff. Chuck's doing things. That's exciting. We want him to do stuff. Now, it turned out most of the stuff he did was bad, but he sure did stuff.
He sure did
and people in the moment like when a GM does stuff because doing stuff is fun.
I'll tell you, a lot of it turned out bad. I don't even hold that summer against him. Like he did the right shit. It just didn't work.
Well, the Risto one wasn't the right.
Risto was bad. Risto was bad.
The Ellis deal I won't hold against him.
The Ellis deal, he traded away two guys who aren't in the league for like a really good player. It just turns out that really good player
also couldn't play.
None of those guys play
Whole
anymore.
body broken.
Like Phil Myers gets into a game every now and then, and he's the only one.
He's a quad A defenseman, right?
It's just very
big,
very goddamn funny to me.
We all silly like the mayor.